Oh god, I think I found the definitive worst version of Ghosts and Goblins. Never underestimate the sheer work ethic of passionate fans. Rayman Redemption is a free modern remake of the original PS1 title that fixes many of its problems and adds a bunch of original content. And don't even get me started on the crazy shit that Sonic fans have made over the years. Those guys are just bazonkers. But today I'd like to take a look at a game that a couple people recommended in the comments of my video on Cursed Castilla. I even pronounced it properly this time. Cursed Castilla, Cursed Castilla, Cursed Castilla, go out there and fight for God in Castilla. Ghosts and Demons is a top-to-bottom remake of Makaimura for the Japanese-only WonderSwan, a Bandai-developed handheld that was actually Gunpei Yokoi's final project before passing away in 1997. You may know him as one of the designers for the original Game Boy and the Virtual Boy.
Piece of shit.
But the WonderSwan? It was pretty cool, especially the color release that had a pretty nice version of the original Final Fantasy. You could even turn it sideways for some games like Judgment Silversword, or the section in Makaimura that made me panic and think my emulated adventure was over. But nah, this RetroArch core has options to change the screen and buttons. Thank God for emulation. But this game? Ugh. Even if it wasn't limited by the original WonderSwan's hardware, it's still not very well designed. These zombies at the beginning take forever to come out of their coffins, so you just kinda have to sit there and wait. Sure, you can risk jumping over them, but this game can feel real janky sometimes with its stiff movement and jumping, so you take the risk of losing your armor. No worries though, just open one of the many chests that appear and get it back, right? Well, no, because about 95% of the chests have dickhead wizards in them that'll transform you into a useless form for a while. I really don't get the logic behind this. If 9 out of 10 times you're gonna punish the player for opening up a treasure chest, a chest that is supposed to have treasure in it, then players are just gonna start skipping over them, like I did. And the music is just miserable. Every one of those tones is like Arthur's lance piercing my ears, and it's so loud that you can barely hear any of the sound effects. Maybe this was okay for its time, but it certainly hasn't aged well. It's almost as if this would be a perfect candidate for a modern remake. Oh, hello there, Ghosts and Demons! Damn, this is impressive. When I said a top-to-bottom remake, I wasn't kidding. Bonus JZ took the framework of Makaimura and evolved it so much that it could almost be considered a whole new game. Some levels that were so bare bones that you could almost just walk through them in the original have had more added on or just redesigned certain portions. Armor upgrades are back with a nice selection of new weapons, like the spike ball that hangs in the air for a couple seconds, and the cross, which plows through enemies and stops their projectiles. You also get some cool maneuvers like flipping in the air, which also functions as knockback recovery, and stomping on enemies to kill them and get some increased height. You even get a sword when using the gold armor that lets you straight up Scrooge McDuck the opposition. It takes out those annoying as fuck red devils in one hit too. I love the character and personality put into this remake. It's all the little things, you know? Like this beehive in the very first screen. You can knock it down and make a bunch of bees come out, which at first I thought was just a neat little thing, until I discovered that these guys that show up if you hit their gravestones enough times have a chance to transform you into a bee. So now I'm wondering if there's some kind of interaction I can trigger in a future playthrough. Zombies lose their heads when you kill them, and if you hit the head, you get a little coin drop for some points. This fire in the middle of level 1 hurts you if you jump into it, but it also hurts enemies. This guardian angel can turn you invincible for a while, if you don't kill her by accident first. Ooh, that's probably bad karma. Don't turn, skeleton. Well, why? Is there something behind me? Like in the original, you can choose a difficulty, and I'm gonna recommend that if you play this, you swallow your pride and go with Novice. You start with the green armor and get 9 continues, and you will need every one of them. This game does have some memorization elements. That being said, there's also some reactive elements that can be downright unfair. Here's a tip: when you reach this crossroad, go right, because the left path is choked with randomly spawning turtles that'll drop right on you or right in front of you when you're trying to jump. God damn it, that's not fair! You know what else isn't fair? Dying to a boss after you've beaten it. Yeah, this game is pretty difficult, and not always justifiably so, but at least it does give you an easy mode to try and make things a little more manageable, so I guess I can't get too mad at it. I like how for music and sound effects the dev just plucked them from other Ghosts and Goblins games. The boss victory theme and map screen themes are taken from Ultimate Ghosts and Goblins on the PSP. And I'm not sure, but I think the voice lines might be taken from Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Leave a comment if you recognize this sound effect. This being a fan-made game, there were bound to be some minor issues. I had to use DS4 Windows with my DualShock 4, and even though I set Enter to the Options button on my controller, the game still wouldn't read it. I would have to press Enter on the keyboard every time I wanted to continue. It wasn't until I changed it in the in-game controller options that it started working properly. And for a game with seemingly a bunch of video options, I can't seem to change them how I like. Video backend, screen, and filters just stay on auto. Not that I want to change the pixelized look, I really like it. The vignetting in both iterations of level 3 is really annoying considering how zoomed in the screen is. If given the option, I would turn that off in a heartbeat. And lastly, I take minor issue with the pricing of the game. Now don't misunderstand, I was happy to drop $5 on the most up-to-date version. The not fully updated version is free to download. However, I'm worried about potential legal action being taken against Bonus JZ if Capcom or even Bandai Namco catches wind of this. Just being a free fan game is one thing, you'd really only have to worry if it were a Nintendo game, because Nintendo fucking hates their fans. But if I were an executive at Capcom and I heard some guy was selling a Ghosts and Goblins game without them getting a cut, well, that would really cheese my onions. To Bonus JZ, I recommend you open up a Patreon account or a PayPal to take donations and just make the game free. I think you'll find a lot of people will be happy to throw $5 your way out of sheer admiration for the work you did. And it should also keep the suits at Capcom satisfied, hopefully. Speaking of Capcom, man, I wish they would do something to bring Ultimate Ghosts and Goblins into modern times. That game is so cool and I want to play a properly ported version of it, because PSP emulation sucks balls right now. You can download Ghosts and Demons from itch.io, and I highly recommend trying it out. Enjoy the delightful pain, and hopefully we'll see more games from Bonus JZ sometime in the future. Thanks a lot for watching. Rattle the bones of this video by giving it a like or a comment, or share it around some. I decided I'm just gonna start talking about whatever I want on this channel, so remember to subscribe so you don't miss out. But until next time, this is A Skeleton, signing out.